creators of Relevant Magazine. This is the Relevant Podcast. It's Friday, February 22nd, 2019, and it's the Relevant Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and here with me in our Orlando studios on the ones and twos, our illustrious engineer, my brother, Chandler Strang.
Hello.
Over there on the Skype line from Loverland, Virginia, Jesse Carey.
Hello.
What in the world?
Wow.
Okay, I'm stunned. Okay, on the Skype line from Nashville, Tennessee, our senior editor, Tyler Huckabee.
Hey, everybody.
And just down the road there in Nashville, in her nicely wallpapered dining room, author, speaker, podcaster, cowgirl extraordinaire, and interior designer, Annie F. Downs.
Good morning, gents.
Cameron, I'll let you talk about our generous sponsor first, and then I will explain my audacious hello, because there is a reason behind it.
Yeah, Jesse just needs to talk about some stuff.
Today's Relevant Podcast is brought to you by You Need a Budget. It's a very bold name they got there for their product. You Need a Budget.
Seriously?
You can call it YNAB for short. You Need a Budget is a personal budgeting software backed by a unique method based on 4 rules for budgeting. Budgeting is not about restriction. It's not about never spending money. Budgeting is about finding your true priorities and aligning your money with those priorities. It's an opportunity to gain total control of your money. This is crazy. On average, new budgeters with YNAB save $600 by month 2 and more than $6,000 the first year. YNAB has helped hundreds of thousands of people gain total control of their money, get out of debt, and save more faster. Find out why users call YNAB life-changing. Go to youneedabudget.com/relevant for a 2-month free trial. Normally, YNAB offers a 34-day trial, but they're giving an extra month for Relevant Podcast listeners. Go to youneedabudget.com/relevant. Okay,
Jesse.
Hold on. We have a great show in store for you.
Oh.
Coming up later, Brian Johnson joins us. He has a new book out called When God Becomes Real. And he comes on later to discuss why Christians must end the stigma around mental health. It is, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I love Brian Johnson, love Bethel and everything like that. I grew up in the charismatic world. Mental health was not something that was ever discussed. Yeah. In my world, it was like if somebody was struggling with depression, it was like, well, you're just not praying enough. Or you're
I don't even remember anybody saying those words when I was growing up.
Well, for a lot of that world, there was no distinction between mental health and spiritual health. You know,
right.
Like
Right. That means you're not spiritually healthy enough if you're struggling emotionally. Yeah. That was the stigma. I mean, I was oblivious to the reality of mental health. And so it's a bold move and very exciting that somebody in Brian Johnson's position is writing a book, a very vulnerable book telling his story about mental health. Yeah. So that's coming up later. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Now, on to
show.
more important and pressing information. Jesse, why'd you do a weird hello?
Because everyone laughed. Everyone laughed, and I needed
It was a crowd pleaser. I liked it.
It was a crowd pleaser. People loved it. Coming in hot.
Shock and awe. That's how we felt. Shock and awe.
And I feel like I need to really prove my worth today because prior to recording, Annie was privy to several hurtful conversations that were happening among the editorial team, my fellow editorial team members, about how Tyler Huckabee is better at everything than I am.
Well, Annie,
here's some context. Here's some context. This was a big week in the relevant world. This is the Friday podcast. If you've been following along with us all week, we have debuted a morning briefing video show and a new podcast called Relevant Daily. And so it debuted on Tuesday morning, and we're going to air it every morning as your start to the day, a little 10-minute discussion about the buzzing, trending content items at the intersection of faith and culture. It's been a lot of fun, and we're learning a lot. Every day we do it, we're getting a little bit better, and we're learning a lot. And all we were saying was just kind of a self-assessment recap. Wow, Tyler's
No, it was not a self-assessment recap because Jesse was not assessing.
No.
It was a Jesse assessment recap.
Let's be honest with ourselves that Tyler Huckabee has done a fantastic job this week. That's all we were saying.
That wasn't all.
Cameron Strang, you said he's way better than you, Jesse.
But because Cameron and I toiled away for hours and hours on end the week prior, testing and piloting. And I was in front of a camera literally for hours, Annie, nailing it. Time after time after time. Clark, Does Clark have a microphone?
Wonder. That's what they call you.
We're keeping Clark off the mic.
He was behind the camera and he didn't tell me this, but he said it with his eyes.
Yeah.
He said, they call you one take in the biz, don't you? Old one take Carrie. I was like, yeah, that's what they call me. It's weird that you would say that with your eyes to me, Clark. But yeah, they call me old one take. So Tyler did the debut episode.
He did.
I was shocked. And we were talking about who would record one this afternoon.
Right.
Cameron made the comment, let's go with Huckabee because he's way better than you, Jesse. That's what he said, Annie, isn't it?
I mean, it's pretty close. I wasn't recording yet, but we could probably go back and pull it up, but it was not great.
Yeah. I think, Cameron, I don't want to speak for you. I think you just meant he's way better than you at
life.
Fill in the blank. I will say this. I'm trying to say this in a way that isn't overly hurtful, but listen, he's way better at you at stuff in personal life and professional life. Anything else?
Right.
I mean, years of a vast. No, here, I think when people go to relevantmagazine.com and they watch the video, they'll see that the day, I don't want to give it away, but it was a subject that is sort of in my lane.
Tyler, I was too busy starring on many of my teams, athletic teams, to be worried about nerdy stuff like you talked about on Relevant Daily. So that's why he's better, Cameron. I was busy during that time in my life. And I didn't have time to learn about nerd stuff. I was too busy dominating.
Jesse, your whole brain is nerd stuff. Don't even do that. You have so much in there.
So if you haven't seen Relevant Daily, go check it out. It's on the Relevant YouTube channel. It's also on our site in the video section. Every day, a little 10-minute discussion of the news of the day. It's also an audio podcast. So if you're not somebody who can sit there and kind of watch your phone for 10 minutes while you're in the bathroom or something, you can download or subscribe to the audio podcast, and it can be part of your drive time routine. So we're excited about it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We've been covering this stuff on the site every day, but this is an opportunity to talk about it. Like we have guests come on, experts. We can actually kind of discuss the interesting news of the day, which is different than kind of just the normal news cycle. It's a lot of fun. We've been having fun with it. And Tyler is doing a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
I really love y'all cover what I care about better than just about anybody. So I love
that's a very nice thing to say.
Story.
I appreciate that.
I read every single link y'all send out on Twitter because I'm like, I actually care. This, and thanks to y'all, fart. Those are the two that I love now.
Cameron, I'll give my assessment of Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A self-assessment.
Mostly adequate. Hey,
that's what we shoot for here at the Relevant Media Group. Mostly adequate.
Yeah, relevant. Good enough is the new tagline going into 2019.
Good enough for today. Yeah.
Good enough for a disposable content experience.
Good enough to be the bottom of the birdcage tomorrow.
In one ear, out the other.
Moving the show along, it is time for our new segment. Now, I got to say, little context here. We've been retiring in case you missed it. And we've introduced the hot list, which is very similar.
The critical acclaim.
But week one, people didn't connect with the new jingle. So we decided we're going to do a thing of, like, we're going to do an experimental month of jingles introducing the hot list. Last week's, some babies were made during last week's.
I was about to say, Chandler, last week's had some legit sizzle to it, pal.
Yeah,
I was real impressed with it. I just can't imagine. I don't know how you pull up that many jingles in your heart, but I'm grateful that you do.
I appreciate it.
So Chandler got 2 cracks at it. And so this week, because Chandler's, right after we record this, Chandler's leaving town, week 3's jingle that you're about to hear, done by somebody else. Here we go. It's time for... All right. Okay, coming in at number 5. Audrey Assad this week performed a gorgeous cover of I Can't Make You Love Me. The singer-songwriter teamed up with SE Electronics, the maker of high-end recording gear, for the cover of Bonnie Raitt's classic song. The entire song was recorded in one take on a single microphone. It's awesome. Here's a clip.
Oh, I'll close my eyes and then I won't see the love you don't feel when you're holding me. Morning will come and I'll do what's right. Just give me till then to give up this fight.
Tyler, are you listening? This is someone who's very good at their job.
Game recognized game.
Man, that song by, Audrey killed that. I put that puppy on loop last week. Oh, I loved it.
Pretty song. It's a pretty song.
Coming in at number 4, Benedict Cumberbatch has signed on to play Satan in Amazon's miniseries called Good Omens. The show is based on Neil Gaiman's fantasy/satire novel about the lead up to the apocalypse of Revelation and the angel and demon who try to thwart it. Michael McKean, Frances McDermott, Nick Offerman, and John Hamm also star in the series, which debuts May 31st. That is a crazy cast.
It's a crazy cast. And Tyler, are you a Neil Gaiman fan?
I am a Neil Gaiman fan, and I like this book a lot. It's a really funny book.
It was described as a fantasy/satire novel. That is literally his love language.
I teed him up because I was going to say, "Are you a fan of this?" Sure, you would be, nerd. You're probably reading it while I was the captain of the basketball team, Tyler.
I was prepping. This is obviously.
I was the captain of the basket. We've gone here. This is what we've done.
Yeah.
I'm not even close to peaking, Annie.
One of us was investing in stuff that is still relevant to their professional lives today. The other one of us was the captain of the basketball team.
I'm sure your grandkids are going to love how you were reading novels after school while I'm regaling them in the high school basketball highlight reels, which I've in no way embellished, Tyler.
Jesse is just as good at mocking other people as every other high school bully was. You're
Jesse,
great at it.
Why are you regaling Tyler's grandkids with your stories of basketball prowess?
It's going to get weird in 30 years. It's going to get really weird.
Cameron, they need to know the truth about their grandfather. No. Now, Tyler, tell us about why this Neil Gaiman novel is interesting.
I'm not going to tell
keep
you,
me awake here.
Jesse. I'll tell Annie about this novel since she seems actually interested.
Will you tell me? I am.
A good read.
The cast sounds good. John Hamm seems like a guy I would have been friends with in high school.
Because I was friends with the basketball team and the nerds, and so I can be friends with both of y'all.
Well, you'll have to pick before this podcast is over, I think, who you want to continue to be friends with, because things are getting...
Well, you know whose city I live in, so let's get real. Who's been on my podcast? Only
Loud
you,
and
buddy.
clear. Loud and clear, Annie. Well, no, it's a funny book. It's about an angel and a demon who both been sort of stationed on Earth, and they've come to become friends over the past couple thousand years, and they don't really want Earth to end because it means the end of their friendship too. So they start trying to thwart the Antichrist to keep him from ascending to his dark throne.
Oh, that's going to be so funny.
It's a laugh out loud book. I liked it a lot. I think it's ripe for adaptation. And Benedict Cumberbatch, like that guy's voice is just primed for whatever your needs as a filmmaker are. Yeah. I feel like there's a role for Benedict Cumberbatch somewhere in there.
I saw, he did in one of, again, I wouldn't know, this isn't really my thing, but one of the Hobbit movies, he played the dragon. I think his Smeagol or something nerdy like that. And like he voiced.
Wait, are you serious? He was in those?
Yeah, he was the dragon.
His voice is in those.
No, it's not just his voice, because I watched this like motion capture video on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So like he is in the like wetsuit, like the diving suit with ping pong balls all over it. Yeah. Okay. So he's in that.
That's how they use it. I don't understand it, but that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. He's wearing that, and he's got the Mega Pastor Britney Spears microphone. Okay. Attached to his head.
I always call my microphone my Britney Spears.
Yeah. So he's doing that, and he's reading his dialogue as the dragon, and he's slithering around the floor like an insane person, like the dragon. I mean, it seems so unnecessary.
All those guys, because what's his name, who was in the Lord of the Rings movies as Smeagol, who does the same?
Andy Serkis, yeah.
Andy Serkis. He's in the Planet of the Apes movies too. Watching his behind the scenes stuff makes you feel like you're losing your mind, because everybody else is talking to him and interacting with him like he's a monkey, because he's hunched over and he walks around on his knuckles like a primate does. And they all have to, everybody in those movies should win Oscars, because they don't burst into laughter every time Andy Serkis does or says anything.
That's the thing. I could never be an actor, especially like an action film, because even like you see the Avengers and it's just some guy like wearing a catcher's mask as Thanos, and you're like, I'm sorry, dude, are we doing this? Are we really doing this?
Ping pong ball, and they have to like cower in fear against it for like 20 minutes. They have to do these takes. I mean, they're not all one takes, but of them are.
But just to be clear, Jesse, that's why you aren't a famous action star. Is that you can't look at the ping pong balls without
it has
smiling?
nothing to do with the physique, the
Wouldn't you love to be a
animal
famous
charm.
action star?
All the ability to shoot off wisecracks with a hair trigger, all of that I have. I check all the boxes.
Right.
I'm just not going to look at some dope with, a leotard on and act like he's a superhero. I'm sorry. I have my limits of human dignity, Cameron.
I would love to be a real life superhero.
I do want to say, I want to take this time to say that yesterday we were having an editorial meeting, and Jesse sounds like he's doing a bit now. He sounds like he's doing a character, but we had a meeting yesterday, and in this meeting, I think it was yesterday, in all seriousness, Jesse said, I don't even remember what the context was. We're talking about web articles, and he was like, no matter what athletic sport we're talking about, I feel extremely confident in it.
My gracious, Jesse.
In 100% sincerity. So
That's kind of baller, pal. I'll just tell you what. That's
it's
not
a
the
power
worst
move.
sentence you ever said. That's pretty cool.
I couldn't say that about a single athletic sport. So I was impressed.
Yeah, well, back in the day, Cameron can attest to this. I still have the shirt somewhere because I keep all relics from athletic glory somewhere in the house to remind myself of my self-worth on hard days. And like all former great high school athletes. And back in the day, we used to do a relevant field day. And we stopped doing them because they got very competitive. But here's the thing.
And it's too hot in Orlando. You can't be outside.
No, here's the thing.
We didn't plan it for like late July. I mean, it's lovely from the fall to the spring. It's just
I have experienced it a few times.
The issue was that we did it as a team building thing. And we have way too many competitive people. And I remember when the pregnant employee couldn't participate, so she was the referee. She made a call one of the teams didn't like on a game where everybody had balloons taped to their ankles, and you had to like stomp out other people's balloons, and the last balloon
like
person standing
finish,
won.
Yeah.
And she, it's just fun, right? And what I just remember seeing the two of the guys screaming at her in the face and her crying, and I thought,
screaming at her face.
We're done here.
I'll say this:
all of that.
I was
That's
only
awful.
screaming because she should have seen who popped that balloon first. She had one job. I apologize for nothing. And that's what I told her that day.
I was like, we're done here. The rele games are retired. That was the end.
Wow.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Screaming in her face. Let me just make something very clear to the three of you who I love and adore. If you ever scream in my face,
No.
the beginning of the end of your best
No
days.
question.
Just letting you
No
know.
question. No question.
I would lose
Would not.
my mind.
Would not.
Validly. I couldn't believe it. And I just remember
I
like the
couldn't believe it
vibe
either.
walking
I couldn't
back
believe
to
it
the
either.
office.
It's a very simple game to make the call on. It was shocking to me too.
Walking
Cameron.
back to the office, I just remember
why I raised my voice.
There's it was the park across the street, and we just there's this 1 minute walk back to the office, and there was this awkward silence. Everybody's mad at everybody. It was awful.
As I explained to the police officers that arrived on the scene, if she had made the call in the first place, we would not be in this tense situation.
All right, coming in number 3. Colin Kaepernick settled his collusion case with the NFL this week. The former San Francisco 49ers quarterback remained unsigned for several years after leading protests against racial injustice and police brutality during pregame national anthems. Kaepernick and teammate Eric Reed alleged that NFL team owners colluded to essentially blackball them from signing new contracts when they became free agents, despite both players still competing at a high level. I mean, Kaepernick was a lot better than a lot of guys who were signed.
He almost won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Legal experts have suggested that Kaepernick could have received in the neighborhood of $40 million in the settlement.
What?
Though both parties have agreed to a confidentiality agreement. Yeah. Well, I mean,
But you know what's actually true is money's great. $40 million, I'll never know that. But I bet he'd rather be playing football.
Well, following the settlement, there have been reports that several teams have expressed interest in signing him this year.
Well, listen, if you get $40 million and then you get to play football, you win.
Win-win.
You for sure win. Yeah. Yeah, I'm available for that exact same deal. If anybody from NFL
But I
is
mean,
listening,
that's probably what he would have made had how owners not colluded against him. I mean, those are essentially
is that the number?
that's
Got it,
essentially
got it,
lost
got it.
wages. I mean,
Got it, got it, got it, got
the
it.
window for a professional athlete, particularly an NFL player, the average NFL career is 3 years. So if you were to lose,
unreal.
yeah, I mean, it's a brutal game. And if you are to lose 2 or 3 years of the window you have to make your living, that's supposed to set you for the rest of your life as an NFL player, is very small. And if you lose 3 of it, then you should be compensated accordingly. And that's why legal experts suggest that it's probably in about that neighborhood.
That's fascinating.
Yep. Coming in, number 2. A bunch of Christians freaked out about DC Comics' decision to cancel the series it announced starring Jesus. It was called Second Coming, and the publisher's decision to pull the series followed an online petition started by Christians that drew more than 230,000 signatures and called the series blasphemous and outrageous. Problem with that is nobody even read it. 230,000 people signed this petition about something they never even read. It was just an announced series. It was never released. So in the satirical comic, which was meant as commentary on modern evangelicalism, Jesus comes back to earth, is distressed by just how far down the tubes things have gone over the last 2,000 years. And he moves in with a roommate, which is kind of a Superman knockoff guy called Sunman. And then the two of them try to sort things out. The comics authors, Richard Pace and Mark Russell, are currently looking for a new publisher for Second Coming. So it might still release, just not in association with DC Comics. But
man, sometimes I say this with love and as a fellow Christian, but sometimes Christians are just the worst. Like
The literal worst. Worst.
Because part of, like, Tyler, you and I had a long discussion about this one day, but like part on the petition, part of it was like, can you imagine if they made a comic book about, Buddha or Muhammad? And it's like, yeah, Christians say stuff about other religions all the time. It's like, if you watch one season of Homeland, watch Jack Ryan, watch 24, all of those are about Muslim villains. Like, it's not uncommon in pop culture for other religions who happen to be in the minority in the West to be the subject of, criticism. And if one of those series had gotten pulled because of backlash from those groups, these same Christians probably would have been like, oh, free speech.
Sure,
we can't even, these
PC culture is out of control. The snowflakes are.
We should be able to, our culture should be able to say whatever offensive thing we want, unless you're saying it about Christians. And a fake comic book with Superman.
You mock is 85. I like that you always make him very old. Can I ask a side question? Did y'all like Jack Ryan? I haven't watched it yet. Should I watch it?
I have. It's I would say it's Homeland light. It's basically like Homeland with Jim Halpert and without all of like the undertones about like mental health and corruption.
All right.
So there you go.
Man, that's fascinating. I think I am, the longer we do this culture together and the longer we are around faith people, the more I wonder if any of those kind of loud rebellion-y things help at all. I just can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure those comic writers who already had thoughtful criticism for contemporary Christians, I'm sure they walked away with a great taste in their mouth after losing jobs over it. Like, oh, they totally changed my mind. Who is this helping?
Not to mention the DC Comics fans who were like getting excited about a new comic book after it was announced from two very acclaimed, very well-respected writers in the industry, and are now like, oh, well, Christians seem like they're very thoughtful and willing to engage with difficult criticism about their faith and respond in measured and appropriate ways to it.
I got a press release this week. Even in press releases, like, Christians throw shade, like, passive aggressively, and it was about some like movie about Noah's Ark or something, and some. And it was like, many were disappointed when Hollywood tried to make a movie about Noah's Ark back, and it's like, Who are you speaking for here? Like
this like alleged many who's out there. Yeah. I know what you mean. And there was I won't name the website, but there was a site that was reporting. I think you sent this to me, Jesse, on the poll, the cancellation of the DC comic.
Yeah.
The lead that the first line was Christian comic fans rejoice. It's like, well,
I'm like, but they don't support that statement at all.
I mean, they're speaking for you. I mean, you're the only Christian comic fan I know. Did you rejoice?
I don't appreciate it. I don't like people putting words in them. If they had reached out to this Christian comic fan for comment, I don't know.
That was the thing. They didn't support the statement at all because no one rejoiced because no one even who got it canceled even cared. It's just another petition.
Right. The 230,000 people who signed the petition rejoiced. I mean, they're like, we did
all
it.
those people?
I don't even think. I think they probably just sign whatever petition comes across their Facebook feed. Yeah, and they're probably in a constant state of outrage or celebration over some stupid marginal victory in a culture war that they actually lost a decade ago and didn't realize. Like,
oh, come on with that sentence! You burned that, Jesse Carey.
It's true.
I know. I'm serious. That was a great sentence to not write and edit, to just have in your brain. That was impressive.
That's what I do.
You know what?
He did stick the landing. He's
you're
nerdier than he plays
job.
it.
Pretty good.
And now I'm going to ask my cue card person move to the left just a little.
Okay. All right, coming in at number 1 this week on the hot list. Details about Jay-Z and Meek Mill's criminal justice reform organization called Reform Alliance have been released. The organization was partly inspired by Meek Mill's own legal troubles. In one court proceeding, his attorney revealed misconduct by a judge in one of his parole cases and his arresting officer following an assault charge. Along with the duo billionaires like 76ers owner Michael Rubin, Patriots owner Robert Kraft, Nets co-owner Clara Wu Tsai, hedge fund manager and investor Daniel Loeb are among the group's founding partners. The Reform Alliance is launching with $50 million in funding and named CNN commentator Van Jones as their CEO.
Yeah.
Van Jones explained to Complex that the organization will focus on probation and parole reform. He noted that 6 million people who are under the control of the criminal justice system, 4 million of them are caught up on probation and parole. He explained, you could do something that gets you a charge, then you can be essentially not free for the rest of your life because you're late for a meeting. 15 minutes late, they add a year on probation. Your aunt has an asthma attack in the next neighborhood over and you go over to help her. You violated your parole and they add 5 years on your probation. Putting a cap on probation and parole is something that we're passionate about. He also explained that the organization will push for laws that emphasize rehabilitation, not just retribution. He said right now, to keep people on the straight and narrow when they're on probation or parole, if you do something bad, they're going to hurt you and add more time for being under supervision. They're going to send you back to jail or prison. We're saying, hold on a second. What if we flip this around? Because when you can send somebody to jail or prison, they're going to lose their house. They're going to lose their job. They're going to lose their kids. It's going to be bad anyway. What if we reversed it? What if we said, you're going to be on this long, but we can shorten it if you go to community college, if you go to rehab, if you get a certificate or a license for a trade. We think that needs to be tried. Following the recent launch, they've announced a goal of freeing 1 million people from the criminal justice system in the next 5 years. I heard, I think it was last week, I heard the 76ers owner, Michael Rubin, on The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God talking about this. Because it's crazy, he and Meek Mill have become close friends. Like Michael Rubin said, like Meek Mill is one of his like 5 closest friends, and how they got to be that close was they met. They just happened to meet at a social gathering, and then Meek got into some this legal trouble, and Michael was like, but Michael like knew the story and knew what was going on and couldn't understand why he was getting the sentence that he was getting, and started to try to help out, and then started to like fight like these parole issues and things that were like they were like corrupt, like he had a bad judge and stuff. And Michael Rubin like took this up as like a personal cause, like like Meek Mill's injustice was an issue for him. Meek Mill's from Philadelphia, now is a huge Sixers fan, obviously, and it's just crazy this like kind of this friendship that emerged. But through that, Michael Rubin talked about how his eyes were open to the brokenness of the parole and probation and justice reform stuff. And he got a lot of his billionaire sports owners and billionaire friends to say, we've got to change this. Yeah. So it's cool that we're not having just cultural influencers like Jay-Z or Meek Mill advocating for the change, but power brokers who can put money into it and can like call the president, and, are also now weighing in, and you have it coming from both sides, cultural influence and also like money, and like that's where change is going to be made.
And
so
everything changes when you actually care about someone, when you love someone who is in the situation.
Right.
The same is true for an illness. The same is true for, any kind of heartbreak or any kind of, what would this be considered? Any kind of like justice issue.
Yeah.
Everything changes when you actually know someone who is in the situation. You go, oh, I can help here. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's why mission trips matter. It's why doing local justice good in your town matters. Because when you put a face to these issues, it changes the issue.
Well, it's, especially when you learn some of the details, like this judge and one of the, Meek Mill had some random violation of his parole, like Vance Jones mentioned, like inadvertently traveling outside of a zone where you're supposed to be or something. They can put all these parameters on your life. And, the judge had, suggested behind closed doors that she would give him a lighter sentence if he like recorded a song for her cousin's band or something, or like switch record list. And but then you hear stories where that's not just, those kind of stories aren't just isolated to people who are celebrities. Like the arbitrary nature of the criminal justice system, particularly when it comes to sentencing guidelines, is crazy. I mean, I don't know if you guys listen to the new season of Serial, but early on they had on a local judge in a precinct who would basically put insane, not even legal parole parameters on people. Like, you can't have children. If you have any more kids, you're going to go to jail. Or if you do this or that. And a lot of these individuals, unfortunately, are represented by overworked public defenders who don't have the time or the resources to fight some of the arbitrary nature of parole sentencing. So to have these billionaires come alongside and say, okay, we need to make change, it's not only really promising, it's really effective. For all the criticism, rightful criticism of the current administration, the president has shown a willingness to embrace criminal justice reform and really reach across the aisle. Some of the reforms he's already put in place were some of the only real bipartisan legislation and efforts that we've seen.
I mean, for somebody who's a staunch, very close, like Trump ally, like Robert Kraft, to be in the same organization with Van Jones as the CEO, I mean, shows how truly bipartisan this initiative is.
Well, I think it's one of those things that now it's become a bipartisan issue because the issue is so plain. It's really hard to find any sort of like alternative viewpoint. And I know there are people out there, and some of them have been in the administration at least until recently, who aren't huge fans of the idea of criminal justice reform. But I don't think there's any take on the facts that says this is a good thing and we need to actually be locking more people up, because it's just not the case.
Right.
We incarcerate more people than any country in the world, and we're claiming,
and obviously it's disproportionately heavily tilted toward urban minorities and men. So it's not a fair shake, and it's not representative. It's not like America, just unilaterally locks up more people. It's a portion of our audience, a portion of our.
But I do think, Tyler, I think you were referencing Jeff Sessions, who was an advocate for some of these early war on drug policies that were, incredibly unfair and, very much tilted to punish people in minority communities. And now that he's gone, and it seems like the president has some willingness to make reforms, that it's not implausible that there could be major changes coming.
Yep. And I do want to do a part of the story as well. I want to give a shout out to Jay-Z, who's been a part of this and who has been such a consistent voice for change and for criminal justice reform and is using his celebrity so well. Jay-Z paid for Meek Mill's lawyers while Meek Mill was in jail. Jay-Z paid Lil Wayne's taxes while he was caught up in his legal contract and couldn't get out of it. And Jay-Z also hired lawyers for 21 Savage when he got locked up by ICE over a deportation issue. So the fact that he's obviously there's a lot of problems with celebrities, and a lot of them don't seem like they talk a big game, but when it comes to actually putting their money where their mouth is, there's some rightful criticism of hypocrisy there. But both Jay-Z and his wife Beyonce, I think we all know, Jay-Z and Beyonce have always been very, very consistently recently.
He's Beyonce's husband at this point.
Beyonce and her husband, Jay-Z, have both been extremely good about investing a lot of their considerable wealth towards causes they really care about. And criminal justice reform, I think, is the big one.
I think this is very interesting. And there's nothing, no one here has done anything wrong. But listening to this whole conversation, Beyonce is the first woman that's been in this conversation at all. You know, it's really a male, and it is a male centric conversation because it's not as often that we talk about incarcerated women and we talk about what's going on with them and where that is. And it's just so interesting that in the public eye, most of the people involved in this are male. Isn't that interesting to y'all?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I do think that I've read stats before where also the incarcerated population tends to be disproportionately male as well.
It is. Yep, that's right. Because I mean, we don't have stories of like 21 Savage. We don't have those stories of women that are being arrested.
I will say this: the case that Kim Kardashian West got involved in late last year, where went to the Oval Office and got a woman who was sentenced for a really minor role in a drug trafficking case. You know, she was basically taking phone calls for someone who was doing drug deals. Got I think it might have been a life sentence, but it was Kim Kardashian who went to bat for her and ended up getting her a pardon.
This is crazy. Yeah. I just pulled it up, the inmate gender percentages. This is from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and this is like accurate to this month. This was data from January 26, 2019. Of the inmate population in the federal prisons, males make up 93%. 7% female. Yeah, that's crazy.
Man, I think
it's crazy.
To your point, I think it's important to remember that every time one of these guys goes to jail, that's a lot of times that's the breadwinner in a household.
That's right.
That's going to be a father. It's somebody who's oftentimes a very important part of an economic structure at home. And when those people get locked up,
it's such a cycle, right? Because that leaves young men without father figures, and it leads towards more behavior that is not healthy and good. Yeah, I mean, it's such a cycle. I'm grateful that people are stepping in.
So women get stuck as these sort of invisible inmates in low wage jobs and single moms at home, and the exponential amount of lives largely black that have been ruined by criminal justice corruption is just so sad. And I really hope that the momentum we're seeing here and the fact that criminal justice reform is a major platform for every candidate who's announced so far for 2020, I hope that means that we're on a slow path towards making it better.
Yeah.
It looks like about 60% of the prison population is men between the ages of 26 and 41. So you're talking about like the prime, like
wage earners,
wage earners and stuff like that. It's like that's over 60% of the population.
And a lot of times, even after one conviction, their employment opportunities are incredibly limited. A lot of times their right to vote is taken away in a lot of states. I mean, their ability to have themselves represented fairly or to earn a living or to even get like the kind of proverbial second chance is really limited. Right. And that's why so many people end up becoming repeat offenders because, they are put in desperate situations. And, like what Van Jones talked about there, maybe actually giving people training or some sort of vocational resources so that they have opportunities outside of, the same cycle that put them in that situation in the first place. Like that seems like something that would be helpful.
It is also looking like ethnicity wise, about 60% of the population is black or Hispanic.
In prison.
Yeah, in prison, federal prison.
And they're minorities in the general population. So disparaging as that looks at just the prison population, with that, the greater context is, they are far more likely to be locked up because of the arbitrary, like we did a story a while ago, Cameron, on the war on drugs, and how if you just knew the platitudes of it, you may not realize how misguided it is. And so one example is, for a long time, the sentencing guidelines for crack cocaine and powdered cocaine were dramatically different, even though both substances are chemically the same. The difference is one drug was commonly used in poor neighborhoods and the other one was common in rich communities.
I saw Wolf of Wall Street. I know what you're talking about.
So the sentencing guidelines for those two drugs.
I did not.
The sentencing time, you could go to prison for a very long time for possessing a minor amount of crack cocaine. But the other type of cocaine, the sentencing guidelines were completely different. And that's just one example of how the deck is really stacked against, in a lot of cases, minority communities. And, it leads to things like this, where you see this massive disparity when it comes to the prison populations.
There you go. All right. Well, that'll do it for. Stay tuned. Up next, Brian Johnson joins us. You're listening to Another Sky. The song is Apple Tree. At the beginning of the podcast, you heard Foles with On the Luna. There you go, Foles, On the Luna. Well, today's podcast is brought to you by Quip. One of the most important things we can do for our health every day is brushing our teeth, yet most of us don't do it properly, Jesse.
Guilty.
Quip is a better electric toothbrush created by dentists and designers. Quip was designed to make brushing your teeth more simple, affordable, and even enjoyable. Yes, Jesse, enjoyable. I use a Quip. They've sponsored the podcast for a while, and so I got Quip a year ago. Love it. What I love about it is that the vibration is gentle enough for sensitive gums. A lot of electric toothbrushes are too harsh, and Quip isn't.
I need to go Quip because, like Michael Scott, I too have soft teeth, and how dare anyone bring it up? But I feel like Quip could be an answer for me.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, brush heads are automatically delivered on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5. 3 out of 4 of us use bristles that are old, worn out, and ineffective. Well, Quip is one of the first electric toothbrushes accepted by the ADA and has thousands of verified 5-star reviews. I am among them. I love Quip. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/relevant right now, you'll get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack for free at getquip.com/relevant. Now, before we get into this next segment, I want to give a little behind the scenes. Annie is not going to be part of this one segment, but she comes back for feedback, so stay tuned. Well, Brian Johnson is a songwriter and worship leader and the co-founder of Bethel Music and Worship U, along with his wife, Jen Johnson. In his new book, When God Becomes Real, Brian opens up about a mental breakdown he had and how it changed his faith and led him to think about God in totally new ways. We recently spoke with Brian about the book and why Christians must challenge stigmas around mental health.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how resistant the church has been to these sorts of conversations around mental health. I think for a lot of us, we grew up with the idea of mental health being sort of a hippy-dippy, almost pagan way of talking about real health. And for Brian Johnson, the sort of genesis of this book and of wanting to destroy stereotypes around mental health first happened when he had his very first panic attack. I asked him about what that was like and kind of how that affected him.
All I can say is you can't talk yourself out of it. It's kind of otherworldly feeling. It's something that kind of feels like it takes over your body. For me, it's almost like you're outside of your body kind of a thing. It's a really scary thing. And it's multiple. You can have like a basic panic attack, then it can be spiritual, then it can be whatever. But I think that main one I had was, obviously it sent me to the hospital, so it was pretty severe. Can't breathe, can't think straight. That's a scary one when your mind's not working.
Yeah.
That's pretty paralyzing. The sense of hopelessness was so strong that you just can't reason it away. It's all-consuming, overtaking. And I'll tell you, the word hell, becomes very real. Not that you're going to hell, but just that you hear about what hell would be like. And to me, that's what hell would be like.
I think that's something that happens a lot when we hear when people who haven't had panic attacks don't deal with anxiety, hear this word anxiety, hear people who struggle with it. We have this sort of idea that it's just sort of a vague sense of unease or worry. And panic attack just means you get really stressed out. And what you realize when you talk to people like Brian about what it's really like to have a panic attack is that it's a very, very real, very physical, very overwhelming sensation that's hard to explain.
Well, and especially like, we kind of talked about this earlier, but it's especially hearing someone like him talk about it is so refreshing, because a lot of times I feel like when we think of pastors, especially kind of in the more like charismatic world who seem very in tune spiritually, that you almost think of them as like not susceptible to something like that. But,
Sure.
There's been times where I've, had something similar, and for someone like him to be able to talk about it and articulate it with that kind of vulnerability is really refreshing.
Yeah, it's the vulnerability thing, like putting his own story out there, because, it's almost like the silent majority of people who don't feel like they can talk about it because they don't see anybody in leadership talking about it. And so therefore they're flawed, it's that thing. So for somebody in leadership to put it out there and say, I struggle with this too, or this happened to me as well, it just opens up the opportunity for so much healing.
And I think what you have when you have somebody like Brian talking about this, who's also in some sense, I mean, you can never really beat anxiety, but you can find ways that help you manage it. And for Brian, that took on a few different forms. And I asked him about what some of those ways were.
When I was a kid, worship is what got me through, those panic attacks and those different things. But in the nervous breakdown, kind of that whole season, the reading the Bible, getting up and reading the Word over and over is what's helped my mind heal. It's interesting. Like the combination of the worship and the Word became so real. And we hear the verses and we hear the messages, about it renewing our mind and whatever, but I think literally it did.
Did he talk about obviously the worship and the Word side of things I've heard a lot from the church. Did he talk about the role of medication and counseling in this struggle as well?
Yes, he did. He talks about it in the book, and we did talk about some of the medication and the hospitalization that he went through on the way to handle this. And I think that's something that Christians need to open themselves up to. Obviously, things like prayer and worship and Bible reading, these are extremely healthy practices. These are healthy for your spiritual life, and they're healthy for your mental and emotional life too. But they don't replace and they can work in conjunction with medicine, with science, with things that God has given us to use and develop. God created us to be tool-making creatures, and tools like medicine are really, really helpful. So I think that having that multi-pronged approach to dealing with mental health is something that Brian has lived out and exhibited in his own life, and it'd be good for us to start emulating it and having more honest conversations about it. First thing, I
would say, obviously, you're not alone, and you're going to be okay. It's not just this mind over matter, but you're going to be okay. You're not alone. And God doesn't lie. It's impossible for God to lie. And there's plenty of stuff in the Bible that talks about how we are going to be okay. You trust in God. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not on your understanding. All those verses. And I would say this: worship and the Word. Honestly, worship and the Word are literally they're lifesavers for me. Like I listen to worship music all day long, because when I was really desperate, when I was really going through it, worship music 24 hours a day, and I'd get up and I'd read and I'd read and I'd just read as a discipline, and it's like a magical thing started happening. It started getting better.
It's something that I feel like is something that was really ingrained in me when I was a kid in youth group a lot, is like that idea of disciplining yourself to read the Bible a lot every day. It's not a practice that's really stuck with me, at least, or a lot of it in as I become an adult, I get that sense that I've kind of gotten it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do feel like too, even pragmatically, where, when you look at books like the mental health books and self-help books, like The Power of Positive Thinking or things like that, it's easy to kind of get off track with that thinking, but there are actually biblical concepts that, when it talks about taking every thought captive, that's not just practical spiritual advice. That's actually something that can be beneficial for your mental health, is to not let things eat at you and to fill your mind with things that are going to benefit you spiritually, like Brian was talking about.
And that's part of that perception that Brian's talking about throughout that book, is that there is so much misconception about this, because there is a shame and a stigma attached to the idea of mental health. It happens in Christian communities, but it happens outside of the church as well. I think it's still just, there still is more shame attached to the idea of talking about your anxiety or your depression than there is talking about the fact that you broke your arm and you needed to go seek treatment for that. And I think part of Brian's book, the goal of Brian's book, is to erase some of that difference. At least that's what he told me at the end of the conversation.
I think part of the problem is the shame that's around, that wraps itself around that whole thing. Like my goal would be that everyone that like I said, when God becomes real, God is God. It's a gift from God when He's your only option, and He steps in and performs this miracle. And then that's the goal, right? That we don't need certain things, but at the same time, removing the shame and giving grace for like periods of time for people to see a doctor. We go to counseling for marriage. We go to counseling for personal stuff, and it's the same thing in my mind. If you had a broken arm and didn't fix it, it'd be cruel, And I think for me, this is a time. I think this was, it was physical for a time, and I needed that medicine for a season.
And that's what the science certainly points to. And I don't think it's unbiblical at all to say that there's times in your life where you need medicine, where you need training, you need people who have the resources to help you that you can't do for yourself.
And I'm really glad he talks about this in the book and in your conversation, the counseling. Like that's even something too, where I feel like I kind of grew up, and maybe I'm kind of an outlier, but like I thought of counseling as for people that didn't go to like church almost. Like, well, what do I need to go to counseling for? I hear a sermon every Sunday. I, do Bible studies and stuff, but it's like, no, there's real value in counseling, especially as it pertains to your mental health. And I think, again, having someone like him in his position, and especially coming from the world, like the Bethel world, that is so in tune to meeting spiritual needs, to talk about, look, counseling is important. That's man, it's just so important. And I wish that was a message I recognized earlier in my life.
Yeah, it's an important topic, and one that we've been covering and will continue to cover and keep talking about. And we're really grateful for leaders like Brian Johnson to use their platform and voice to continue this discussion. You should check out his new book. It's called When God Becomes Real. It's available now. Stay tuned. Up next, your feedback.
Put me down, laying your makeup, talking about your childhood, giving everything I got, yet you still want more.
This episode of the Relevant Podcast is brought to you by Lipscomb University. At Lipscomb University, their online programs are shaped by a commitment to creating a better future. And with multiple undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs to choose from, you can define what that future looks like. Plus, you earn the same academically rigorous degree you'd get on their campus, with the flexibility to fit your life. Listen, at Relevant, we believe in you, the listener. We know you're ready to lead. So you can pursue your goals and a better world at Lipscomb Online. Visit lipscomb.edu/online to learn more. That's lipscomb.edu/online.
Love is careless when it's too soon. You've been hella wasted all your life.
Listening to Glad, not God, not Glad, Glad, with the song Careless. Okay, it's time for your feedback. Last week on the Friday episode, we got talking about things you do that your friends think are weird. We learned last week that our good friend Annie Fidowns exclusively drinks out of koozies at her home, and she has a gathering of friends. Everybody is a koozie. It's like, it's a koozie party.
Cameron drinks out of disposable novelty cups that were given to him years ago, even though very kind friends in his life have given him state-of-the-art, technologically advanced cups that will keep drinks cold or hot for a curiously long amount of time.
Literally
it's a very weird thing.
Time we have spoken in the last week, Jesse has shown me and given me a timer of how long the ice in his Yeti cup has been cold and frozen.
Most of the time, it's over 6 hours by the time I talk to Cameron. Check this out, dude. Ice is still...
Jesse, you're talking me into one. I'm close. I'm good. I'm on the line, man.
I was a hater. Listeners on this podcast know I was a hater of the whole Yeti thing. I get it now. I am ready to don only Yeti gear. From
Mine is a
guys?
Yeti. Mine's a hydro flask, but it is amazing how long the ice stays ice.
Cameron would not know anything about this.
Cameron doesn't now.
Okay.
I know. I drink out of corksicles and Yetis. I get it. They're just.
I have never seen you without an Orlando
Every
Magic
time,
cup.
Cameron, I see you take a sip out of a novelty Orlando basketball cup that looks unwashed and has been in the rotation for more than 6
unwashed.
years. It is a slap to the face. It is.
Cameron, are they unwashed?
No, they are washed. This is the issue, Annie. I have so
They're
many of them.
single-use
I
only
always
cups.
cycle through them. And then, I've got like 30 of them. So I can have plenty of cups available to me, and then I don't have to do dishes all that often. I have one really good Yeti mug, so I use it, and then it's dirty, but I don't do dishes for a week, so it doesn't pop back into the rotation for a
Are they
while.
hard to clean, Jesse? Is this an issue?
No, it's just
It could not be
in my
simpler.
sink.
It could not
It
be
sits in my sink.
simpler.
So for the question of the week last week, we asked you, what's something that you do that all your friends think are weird? It thinks weird. So you guys hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, and you posted your longer ones at the Relevant, the podcast episode page at relevantmagazine.com. Here's a few of our favorites.
Well, Sarah said she loves flip-flops so much that even in winter, that her sister brought her 26 pairs of toe socks for Christmas so her feet could still get warm. They are striped, multicolored, like rugby or hogwork scarves. I don't know what a hogwork scarf is, nerd. So I do know what rugby is. I do know what rugby is. It's a tough sport. Tough.
Wait, toe
that is
socks.
weird to wear.
Wait, toe socks. So these are socks that are like mittens where you have to get an
Yeah,
individual
you have to
toe.
get each individual
Yeah,
toe
yeah.
into
That,
the...
for some
Yeah.
reason, that take a while
Those-
to put on. I mean, like you have to
Yeah, it seems like
the
complicated.
Just
pinky
like a
combined
glove.
with the ring
it's
toe.
the difference in how long it takes you to put on a glove versus a mitten.
I feel
It's
like
the
I
exact
have
same thing.
more dexterity in my fingers than my toes.
Yeah, fingers are easier.
I can't separate my pinky toe from my ring toe as
can't-
easily as I can my pinky from my ring
Ew,
finger.
fine.
ring toe.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. It takes a lot of
Gross.
practice, Cameron. You'd be surprised with hours and hours of
What
practice.
a basketball captain can do.
What you can do with the human toe. It's fantastic. I can mold pottery with my feet.
I can do it too. I just leave my toe rings on the floor by my bed at night, so in the morning I don't even have to bend over to pick them up. I can just use my toes and bing, bing, bing. 5 and 5.
Jesse can play the guitar with his toes. He just
Yeah,
has one laying on the ground, walks by, strums it
Sounds
on his way to
terrible,
the bathroom.
but I can do it. Technically, I'm playing it. It's usually just me kicking the open strings. I never understood the flip flop all year round people. It's like shorts all year
Me
round
either.
people.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like
I saw a guy this morning in flip flops. It's cold. It's cold.
It's
in
cold.
Nashville.
I
What are you trying
love
to
my
prove?
feet. I mean, I would wear socks all year round. I love when my feet are warm. And so flip flops, I mean, I barely enjoy flip flops in the summer. So this is not my person.
I gotta tell you, I've turned into the cozy sock and Nike slides guy, like around the house, especially. I mean, they're
LeVar
padded.
Ball, yeah.
It's basically like slippers nonstop. It's
That's
great.
baller. It's baller status. It's pretty cool.
I guess.
Eric lost me halfway through here. I was on board, Eric, and I'll tell you where you lost me. He says, most mornings I drink my coffee out of one of the standard issue mugs that come with the dishes.
Okay.
On weekends and other days off, I drink my coffee out of a different mug, usually ones I received as gifts. I let serve as a visual reminder that those mornings are a little more relaxed. I kind of like that. So far, I mean, like that's a nice little
Interesting.
ritual, a nice little morning ritual.
It's unnecessary, but I see. Who wants to be
it's a
relaxed during the
lot,
week?
But I'm like, I can get, but here's where he loses me. I also cannot drink my coffee out of too large of a mug because I feel it allows the beverage to cool too quickly. Yeah, Eric,
that's
it gets
true.
cold. You got this big old mug of coffee. You're sipping down cold black oil.
If only
Why are you
technology had
yelling at him?
advanced high enough where a container could keep a beverage either hot or cold for hours and hours on end. If only Eric had a friend in his life who would not only introduce him to the technology, but purchase one of these for him. And he also added
only.
he drinks it with his toes, which is kind of weird. He says, but I also stir it with my toes.
But
I am
this is a
proud
new
to say-
technology. We all had thermoses as kids, and then the
Yeah.
soup
It's
would stay
advanced,
hot.
Cameron.
Oh
It's
man,
advanced.
I love my Alf. What are they called again?
You had
Say
an
it again.
Alf thermos?
Thermos.
Thermos. Yeah. Why did I lose that word like that? I loved my Alf thermos.
I'm more interested in the Alf part. Were you a big fan of Alf?
Huge Alf. Yeah, fan. I had the thermos. I had the
Interesting.
sleeping bag. I thought the world of that guy.
You were branded.
Yeah,
We're like,
yeah.
oh,
He was
your
my number
thing.
one. Yeah,
That's
I
very
loved
odd.
Alf.
What'd you
I'm
like
not
about
gonna
Alf?
lie.
His sarcasm?
He was hysterical. Yeah, he was just the funniest. I just
Funny
thought he
guy.
was so funny all the time, and he hated cats. I just thought it was hilarious. I don't know.
Good.
Still do. I still watch some stuff on YouTube every now and
You
again if
do
I can't
not.
fall asleep.
It does not hold up. You cannot say that.
No.
it's
Of
still,
course it doesn't hold up. No. But
But it's warm.
It
It's
still
like, it's
feels good.
comforting.
Yeah.
I think we've landed our next question of the week. Something that you loved that you watched recently doesn't hold up. But I will say this: when I was a kid, I love Ernest movies. You guys are familiar with Ernest.
Yeah, Ernest Goes to Camp
There
was
is
hilarious.
one scene that still holds up because a lot of it doesn't. A lot of it's pretty dark. Like if you go back and watch some Ernest movies, like one, he gets the electric chair. Okay, he's given superpowers, but they still execute Ernest. And another one, like Ernest Goes to Camp, Annie. I don't know if you remember the climax. A guy tries to shoot Ernest point blank in the face with a rifle. That's literally the plot of Ernest Goes to Camp. Like a
wouldn't fly.
psychotic
today.
developer who wants to develop the camp decides it's time to shoot Ernest. Like
Oh
hunt
yeah,
Ernest.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
He is
a
gonna
lot
shoot
of
him in the
Ernest
face.
movies have
Wow.
like I would not probably be cool with my kids watching Ernest movies, but there's one scene that I turn to on YouTube if I'm having a rough day, and I laugh and laugh and laugh, and I swear it holds up. Okay, it is a scene from Ernest Goes to Jail, and I'll do the setup. Ernest is chosen for jury duty, and he's taking the job very seriously, and he's taking notes as the lawyers are giving their cases, but he's biting on the pen deep in thought, and he accidentally breaks the pen in his mouth, and ink is going everywhere.
I remember this,
and
yeah.
he's like trying to dry it with paper from his notepad, and he's just smearing it everywhere, and he ends up with all these balls of inky paper covered in ink, and he doesn't know what to do with them, so he eats them in the jury booth. And the scene is like one of those scenes from Family Guy where Peter trips, and it's like funny, and then it's like and you're like, okay, when are they gonna cut away? Then it becomes funny again. That's how this Ernest scene is with him trying to clean up ink in the jury booth. It is still holds up. I ride for that scene still.
Yeah. Wait, I have one piece of feedback before we move on to the next question.
Okay.
Because multiple people, and I appreciate it, multiple people spoke of their love of their own koozie. Sarah has a basket at home. She keeps them around. Also, someone said, when will we be able to purchase relevant koozies?
Oh.
Cameron?
We can do those.
Let's make some koozies.
Can it say in fine print in parentheses for non-alcoholic beverages? Obviously.
Yeah, we gotta proof them. We gotta be.
No, that's what the koozie says. That's what the koozie says. This is not alcoholic. And then little podcast logo.
That would probably sound really well. Yeah.
I wouldn't have assumed it was until I saw the
for like
koozie.
when you're conservative, like Uncle comes over, and it's like, oh, see, Uncle, this
Oh my
is.
gosh, I want a relevant koozie so bad.
Okay, I got one. I got one from PC. PC, this is weird if you're not 8 years old. I lay out my clothes. I lay out my clothes each night for the next day. I don't think it's strange, but my wife seems to. I think what makes it strange is that sometimes I'll say, I need to get my clothes ready for tomorrow, and my wife will respond deadpan, yeah, I know. That's because it's very odd, PC. What time? Set your alarm for 5 minutes earlier.
I actually don't think that's odd. Is that
It's a
bothersome
little
to you?
odd.
Laying out clothes
Really?
for the night for the day before.
Right.
Do you do that, Annie?
I mean, I
You
think
lay them
about
out
it
the
before
night
I go to
before.
bed. No,
Well,
I don't lay
you-
them out, but I do think about
Okay,
it.
you're different because you're on stage. You've got to think about maybe you need to get something pressed. PC, he's wearing khakis and a blue shirt. He doesn't need to lay that out the day before.
Are you
Eddie
just-
Koffels.
I was going to say, you're saying he works at Best Buy?
Either way, it's not the strangest thing to lay your clothes out, PC. I'm
I
with you.
think about it if I have an early, if I've got a early morning, if I got to be somewhere, if I've got a flight or something like that, like I want to make sure that I know where the stuff is. But laying it out, and maybe it's not what because in my mind he's got like the pants laid out, and then on top of it a shirt, like a little like he sets it up exactly like it needs to be on his body, but on the
I
ground.
actually think that's probably what he's
You're
doing.
describing him as some psychopath that has mannequins set up around the
because the
house.
other question,
that he just
his
dresses
language,
for
if
fun.
we just pay attention to PC's language, he didn't say I set out my clothes. He said I lay out my clothes.
Yeah.
So he probably does lay them out.
He gets a couple of belt options. Oh, I'm going to go with the braided leather one today with the deck shoes, and then he like looks at it all together, laid
Yeah,
he
out.
looks like a good guy.
Yeah.
I like his style.
and that's the perfect
I'll say,
attire
is he-
when he goes to the Hall & Oates concert tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot more feedback where that came from. You can follow along on the website. Okay, it's time for this week's
Editorial question of the week. Hey.
Well, Jesse mentioned that when he's feeling a little down, he likes to go watch this clip of Ernest with the pen ink all over his face. He likes a little slapstick
And
that
I
cheers
watch
him
Alf.
up. Yeah, you watch Alf. So we want to know, what's your go-to thing that you fire up when you're needing a little pick-me-up, a little pep in your step, you need a little boost. You put on this song, you watch this clip. What's the thing that you turn to that always makes things just a little bit better? Bonus points, if it's a good audio experience, we can play the clip here on the show.
Y'all are
so
going to be
don't,
surprised how many people mention Alf. You're going to be surprised.
I'm ready. I'm bracing myself right now.
People recall that when they were kids, they loved Alf, but not that they're currently watching it as a pick-me-up. I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I'm just
ready.
saying.
I'm ready. I've been surprised. I will say this. I feel like public opinion usually comes down on Annie's side when we butt heads.
Hey,
so
I'm
a very
learning.
enjoyable
I'm
part of
switching
this
my
show.
allegiances.
Then I want a specific clip because I have gone down the nostalgic Alf wormhole and it was painfully bad. So if you're going to sit there and say, I'm with Annie,
statement.
Alf is awesome, then you need to send me a clip and
Wow,
prove it.
I super hate how you talk with all the people about use the voice of all the people who are on my side. Yeah, super Annie.
I'm just saying, prove
they're
it.
much cooler than that.
They're very cool. They're very cool.
They happen to have sinus infections, but they are cool.
Well, it's that time of year. All right, hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, or you can post your longer links, I guess, or your if you have more at the podcast episode page at relevantmagazine.com, and we will play our favorites. Man, that means next Friday's show is going to end on such a high note. Everybody's going to just have a smile on their face.
We need to save a long time for the editorial.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, many thanks to Brian Johnson for joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at Brian Johnson M. His new book, When God Becomes Real, is out now. Many thanks to our sponsors for making the episode possible. Remember, you can get Quip. It starts at just $25 when you go to getquip.com/relevant right now, and you can get your first refill pack for free with your Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack for free at getquip.com/relevant. Getquip.com/relevant. Also, thanks to YNAB. You can find out why users call YNAB life-changing. Go to youneedabudget.com/relevant for a 2-month free trial. Normally, YNAB offers a 30-day trial, but they're giving an extra month for Relevant podcast listeners. Hey, if you haven't tuned in yet, make sure to set your alarm for every morning when Relevant Daily posts. It premiered this week. It's the stories you need to know today at the intersection of faith and culture, all in under 10 minutes. You can watch daily on Facebook or YouTube, or you can subscribe to the audio podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for Relevant Daily. Hey, also, Relevant Magazine, if you'd like to see Relevant in your community, let us know. Well, like at your college, right, your young adult service at church, or if any place where Relevant people are gathering, if you want to have Relevant there, let us know. We offer special partner distribution and would love to partner with you. You can request bulk distribution at relevantmagazine.com/podpartner, not God partner. Pod partner. We even offer complimentary copies for churches and nonprofits. Check it out. Also, we are running a special deal for Relevant Podcast fans. Right now, you can subscribe to Relevant, and just for Relevant Podcast fans, you can get your first 6 months for only $6. Go to relevantmagazine.com/podfan. Again, that's not God fan, it's pod fan. You can get 6 months of Relevant for $6. Go check it out. Well, on that note, we'll wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Chandler Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Tyler Huckabee.
I'm Annie F. Downs.
We will see you on Tuesday. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Relevant Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Check out other shows from the Relevant Podcast Network in the podcast section at relevantmagazine.com. And while you're there, browse exclusive podcast merchandise at our online store. Make sure to subscribe to Relevant Magazine. Info is available at relevantmagazine.com/subscribe.
I'm not even close to peaking, Annie.
Relevant Podcast Network.